Good evening, everyone. I am Judge James. Welcome to Living for Crits. And the Thursday night reviews are back. It was going to be Mondays, but I can't do two streams 2 days back to back. I need a break. So we're doing back to Thursdays. And tonight we are doing a review of The Corpse That Love Built by Stephen Newton. As part of my Dungeon Crawl Classics Judge James and Julia Challenge, where I do to Dungeon Crawl Classics what happened in Julie and Julia, the movie with Amy Adams and was that Meryl Streep, right? Was it Meryl Streep? I think it was Meryl Streep. So that's where we're going to take through the next 14 months. I got a lot of adventures to do, and Lex is here. What's up, Lex? And I've been cutting into this adventure list pretty hard. Got lots of stuff on the schedule. As a status report right now, I have finished 4 of 35 adventures. And that means that I have got 38 to go. So the reason being is that I went ahead and added 7 more adventures to the list. So now it's 42 adventures to go in a year. Hey, Greg, because I'm crazy, I guess. I don't know. So I'm almost to the point where I said I was going to be in the very beginning of, back to square one, I guess. I don't know. So where we're at right now. Well, I wrapped Elzamon in the Blood Drinking Box, which is out of Chaos Rising. Freaking an amazing adventure. I will cover Chaos Rising, that collection of 6 adventures, in a subsequent episode when I finish all 6 of them. Right now I've run 2 or 3 out of there. I think 3. I've run 3. Imperishable Sorceress, Elzamon, the Blood Drinking Box, and the one about thieving stuff. The thiefy one. In progress, I'm right in the middle of Gang Lords of Lankmar. We're 4 sessions into this one adventure. It is taking a while. I think 2 sessions more to finish it. On deck this week, I've got the Abbot of the Woods this Sunday. That's out of the back of the DCC core book. And I've got Escape from the Shrouded Fen kicks off on the 15th. And I'm eyeing the evening of Black Friday for a special turkey-themed adventure that's going to be called The Gravy of Feathered Torment, or a reskin of The Web of All Torment by Brendan LaSalle. And that could be a good time. It lets me, A, cover an adventure that's part of my Thanksgiving theme that I like to do. And then B, I get to run an adventure. So let's see, who's here? Daddy Gamer T. Gamery T is on. What's up? If you're someone I know, you'll have to tell me who you are, because I don't know. Daddy Gamer is kind of... and then, yeah. Oh, Lex says, the concept for this series is a bit weird, but I'm still into it. I mean, it's not that weird of a concept. I'm going to run through all these adventures and try to complete them in the course of the next year. And every time I complete an adventure or a module, I'm gonna do a review. And this is a good one tonight. This is a really, really good adventure. Oh, Daddy Gamer Keys. I don't know them. I came across a tweet on the channel a few weeks back. Well, welcome to the chat. Welcome to the channel. It's real low tech. It's just me and the Walls Dungeon Tavern behind me, and that's it. And the new desktop that I need to move around because I bought a PC. Because I'm crazy. Why would I buy a PC? It's nuts. I do streams with my daughter. That is every Sunday night. Judge Evie would be right here, and she is my co-host. But she doesn't read adventures like I do or run them like I do, so I'm keeping her out of the reviews. All right, so Corpse That Love Built with Dungeon Crawl Classics or Dungeon. Wait, they're outside. Dungeon Crawl Classics. Look at that. There you go. DCC. All right. This is the 2018 Halloween module from Goodman Games. This is an official Goodman Games product, not third party. It's a 2nd level adventure, and it was written by Stephen Newton. Awesome dude. Attack of the Frogs is his, as is oh crud. He did a really, really, really good, and I'm I can see the cover of it, a really good MCC adventure, and I'm gonna be so pissed that I don't remember the MCC module that he did. RPG, Steve. I'm gonna look it up, just so I'm not like an idiot. Children of the Fallen Sun, which I ran a few times now at PAX Unplugged 2018 especially, and so I love Steven's stuff to begin with, and really excited for this one. The cover art is by William McAusland. And let me mute my Discord server thing. The cartography inside is by Stefan Pogue. You can tell Stefan is an awesome art style, really fun just to look at. And what's great is I screen share. Like, I'm low tech in so many ways. I don't do Roll20. I screen share the map and then I zoom in to where the players are, and I'll move around the map that way. Yes, low tech. But on the flip side, when you get to show these images, it's pretty cool. There's an animal in this thing called a weird doggin. And look, there's a picture of the weird doggins right there. I should note there's spoilers in these reviews. Just saying. So the cartography is Stefan Pogue. Interior art is William McAusland and also Stefan Pogue. Stefan Pogue does, again, there's spoilers. Don't look at this if you're looking at spoilers. Don't watch this review if you want to see spoilers. I mean, look at this. This is such a cool picture. This takes place at the climax of the adventure. So just really, really, really good art, and just so evocative. And you show this scene to the players and they know something's crazy is going to happen. So it's amazing. Edited by Reverend Dak Ultimac. And yeah, let's go for a general overview of the module. So I can definitely see this as, well, I'll describe it first. A sinister elf wizard, Dr. Lotrin von Weissgras Geisterblut, is gathering people for dark and dastardly experimentation, all for the glory of love. We should cue the Peter Cetera music. In fact, there should be more Peter Cetera in gaming, Dr. Lotrin, which sounds like medicine, has built a great tower in honor of his love. And the picture of the tower is in the cover. Like, this woman is the tower. It's like a giant, tower woman. Anyway, so he built this great tower in honor of his love. And inside, he is stitching together a new dead and undead, an improved version, and he would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling PCs. Hold on once, I'm gonna take a note here. I do want to add one more thing here later. Hey, Lithic Bee says, "I will fight for her honor." Yes, we all will be the man that fights for her honor. We'll be the hero you're dreaming of. Gonna live forever. Is that the lyrics? It's been a long time. And Greg, necrophilia is always a winner. Anyway, so yeah, so it's a pretty cool module. You get the Frankenstein feel. I do detect a little bit of Black Mirror in this, and I definitely twisted the adventure in a Black Mirror direction. What I'm going to do on these reviews, I'm going to review the module and tell you what I did in our group, because I do alter adventure somewhat. There's also, I will say there's like a whiff, or perhaps like a scent, if you will, of Human Centipede. Just saying. So, new material. Let's cover that first. What's new in this? Oh, it's Andy G. Oh, there we go. What's up, dude? So someone who's like actually explored the corpse that love built. Anyway, so I think I'm right. Yeah, Andy was the Andy ended up being Andy, who's on here, was like the freaking MVP of this adventure. In this adventure, when I do my reviews, I'm gonna cover a couple things. I'm gonna cover do the general overview. I'm always going to say who wrote it, who did the art, who did the editing. Not enough love goes to those folks. I'm going to do a review of what the adventure is about. I'm going to cover the whole plot, because this is really a review for GMs. It's for you to see if this is right for you. So if you're a player, just stop. Don't go any further. Stop at the Human Centipede reference. That's where we all should have stopped, but I didn't. I'm going to cover new material, new classes, new spells, do an overview of the module itself, and then what we did in our game, and then my like overall final thing, because I got election results to watch on day 3 of election day. All right, so overview of the module. This is definitely designed to be a one-shot, or maybe at most two short sessions. doesn't have to be a one-shot only. This fits really well into any campaign. The scenes that occur that start the adventure off sort of in media res, whenever a party comes to a new village or town, it would fit very well. And at first glance, I read this and I felt the adventure was a bit linear. And that's in comparison to adventures like Moon Slaves of the Cannibal Kingdom, or adventures like Gang Lords of Lankmar, which are very open-ended. This one feels a bit linear, but it's really, I don't think it is. I would just call it streamlined. You don't want a full open-ended adventure when you're running a convention game or a shorter session. You want to keep your players focused. But the players, the players go through a series of challenges, and every challenge, it's really up to them and how they're going to tackle it, and I don't think it's railroaded at all. So, like, they can decide, do I spend time in town gathering intel, or go straight to the tower? Do I scale the wall, go through the gate, take the long way around the coast? How am I entering into this fortification? And then, what order do I tackle the tower? You enter in the center of the tower, which I like that. You don't enter the dungeon at the front. You enter in the middle, and you can kind of decide at that point, do you want to go explore up the arm of the statue? Like, she's like this, and you can go like up the arm or go down into the bowels of the dungeon. So you can choose which way you go. And there are things that will affect the adventure no matter what you do. So once inside, and the players are going to face some dangers outside that are pretty direct. These like flesh, formless clay golem men, and these puppets that are like part puppet. But I think this is actually a great description. I asked them to read this description here of this creature that is faced off, because this blew my mind and it was so good. These are the crude, fleshy contraption bludgeoners. That's what they are called. They are in a regular game, these could be stats for a hobgoblin. They're slow, good base attack, decent armor. This apparatus is built from what appears to be patches of leather affixed to a wire frame and controlled by squirmy strips of flesh bacon. Squirmy strips of flesh bacon. That's messed up. That right there, if there's like an award for DCC modules, that should be one of them. And I don't even eat bacon because I'm a vegetarian. Again, as you know, if you watch my show, I'm required to tell you that once a month. So you have a lot of encounters outside, or a few encounters outside. You go into the dungeon, into the tower, and what's in there is more unnerving than deadly at first. You've got some really weird, creepy things inside. You've got insane vamp wights stapled to a wall. You have a luck-stealing turtle with halfling hands. In one scene in the module, the party sees these grotesqueries, and one is this unnerved the party a bit. It was a dwarf baby head grafted and to a tortoise that was dissected and will open its eyes and mouth slowly if poked or prodded. Some of what's inside in the grotesqueries, I have to say, if you have players, and this isn't total serious, if you have players that can be squeamish, this is one of those moments to maybe offer an X card or something that the players opt out, and just to go to less description and more let their own mind's eye describe something. Because if you go too much into the grotesque stuff, I could see some players, not all, not my group from last week, feeling a bit unnerved. And we want to make sure our players are comfortable. Imperialis says, first time catching you live, just wanted to say I really enjoy what you've been doing. Well, thank you. That's really cool to hear. I could use some positive feedback today. Anyway, until the very end, the encounters aren't that deadly. They're troublesome. One outside with the weird dog, in which is the dog. It's a combination of dog and scorpion and snake or lobster. There's the weird dog, and I showed him before. Pretty classy. That character, that monster, it has a poison that's pretty dangerous later in the adventure if your players don't ruin it for you. So That's kind of a shame that happened because clerics always not poison. Poison. Clerics always like find way. No, it was disease. I'm sorry. I'm mixing it up. It was disease, and the cleric ruined the disease for me and healed Riker, the dwarf in our party. There's an epic boss battle in the end, or there could be if I ran the adventure as it was written, but I didn't, and there was a good reason why. There's these magical mithril chords throughout the adventure that, if I read it correctly, and I think I may have taken this a bit further than it was actually in the adventure, you could plug the mithril cord from your brain into like other brains, dead brains, stuff like that, and gather information. Because the adventure's about like downloading information essentially into the brain of this giant corpseified, giant bride or bride giant. Who is the love of Dr. Lotrin. And you find these chords early on, and you can play around with them. They can be magical items. You take some damage, and you can read the thoughts of something. I got a very Black Mirror vibe from that, like from the Black Museum episode with the cookies and was it monkey wants a hug, monkey loves you. That whole moment that freaked me out. So. Our take and how we did this, and so Andy said that personal note, baby mutation, death stuff, and RPGs is not for me. This wasn't too bad. Okay, well I still thought it was gross, but I'm glad I didn't tweak it too much. I've been known to go a bit too far, especially when I'm on Shadow the Demon Lord. So for our game, besides Andy played Digger the Warrior. We had Jessup Blue Hands the Halfling, Riker the Dwarf, Professor Mortimer Blackstone, the wizard, with Cassandra, his sexy owl familiar, because he had an owl familiar, and he rolled sexy as the personality of the owl. There was much flirtation with this owl, too. Erasmus, the cleric, and then Exiver, the well-dressed wizard. I definitely reward my players with some really clever thinking. The spell that really beat this adventure was Spider Climb. Because Spider Climb on a halfling to reconnoiter the initial gatehouse was very effective. And then Spider Climb on Digger. Digger chose to scale the outside of from a distance, the party is going to hear. I skipped a part. I skipped new material. We're going to touch on that in a second. I don't know how I skipped it. There's something happening in this hand up here. And Digger, instead of going inside and climbing up, Digger went straight to the top. And I factored in as a reward that Digger interrupted. They got so quick to that scene. Because there's a mechanic in the adventure where the more time the players investigate downstairs, the higher likelihood what's happening in that hand, which is like a sacrifice, a woman being electrocuted, and the powering into the corpsey bride, the more time the party spends exploring, the higher likelihood she's going to be dead. And he got there so fast, like he just scaled that thing like Spider-Man. And I figured at this point, the way the adventure was written, I didn't read away that getting there sooner than later would modify the end encounter. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to reward this. And the big boss fight was kind of solved early. I think you need to reward your players when they come up with good ideas. And getting there early was a good idea. So doing that would essentially... that shut the experiment. That shut the conversion or the experiment down. So when the party got to the bride giant, she wasn't activated yet, and they were left with a despondent Dr. Lotrin in an emotional scene. So rather than having this big epic boss battle, it was more of a moral decision. He wanted to awaken his bride. He'd been studying for 60,000 days. He was an elf. He was so old doing this. And that's what he wanted. He did some terrible things. And the party actually was pretty cool about it. They were like, I really played up Dr. Lotrin as like more of a sad figure. And this is where we get to the monkey loves you, monkey needs a hug moment. Because what he eventually asked for was, would the party put the silver mithril cord into his brain and cast the spell to upload her consciousness into his. And Erasmus the wizard did it. And he rolled a 1. And I ruled that he reverse transferred and put Dr. Lotrin into the dying corpse of the bride giant, and it killed him. And that was kind of dark, but it was fitting because that really is more of my type of horror. I'm more about that kind of psychological weird horror, if not body horror, and that kind of stuff. It's more my thing. So not having some epic battle at the end, because not every adventure needs to end that way. So anyway, let me go back to new material. There's a new concept in the adventure called spirit lycanthropy, and it's not lunar triggered, but triggered by a wizard casting a spell called extract spirit animal, and it's listed in the back. It's a full spell write up, and what it does essentially is if someone has contracted spirit lycanthropy, it lets the spellcaster extract the spirit animal from the victim infected with the spell. And, if you cast a spell on someone without the disease, there's no effect. But if someone has the disease, a violent blood elemental controlled by the caster is pulled out. It causes damage to the player character, and the blood elemental can appear to be any kind of weird creation. Really like that, because in the adventure as written, Dr. Lotrin can pull out the entity from anyone afflicted, and that would have been Mark's character, Riker. Didn't happen, though, because he got healed. So that was a shame. I don't know how you would use this in a normal DCC campaign. I would think a game where you're playing with some evil or sinister characters, and it'd be fun to create their own monstrous creatures or blood elementals. That could be fun, and farming blood elementals, also fun. I don't know. It's one of those spells that's kind of there for the villain, but, the right party could use it. So overall, damn good horror module. And give this 4 to 5 hours if you can. Don't rush it. Let your players really enjoy it. Take it over 2 sessions. Add some random encounters on the way there. Play up the horror and the creepy. I don't think this is an adventure you want monsters jumping out at people every single time. But when they do appear, they should be disturbing if you're going to add monsters. And play up the horror of the adventure. There's no reason why this can't. I said this earlier. There's no reason why this can't be added to a regular campaign. This is maybe a one shot in length, but it could fit in pretty much any fantasy campaign. You could easily add this to other fantasy adventures. If you're going to add it to Lankmar, you're not going to have the elf, so you might want to mess with that a bit. Don't set it up right next to the city of Lankmar. Set it down a ways, maybe. That might be for the best. I feel like now, after reading and finishing Tales of the Dying Earth and being a fan of Numenera since 2013, that this would fit great in a far future setting. What I would change if you wanted to run this, when DCC Dying Earth comes out, okay? Since that's going to kind of be like DCC Numenera, right? When DCC Dying Earth comes out, I totally understand that Dying Earth came first. So before someone says, Numenera came after Dying Earth, I know. I'm just saying, far future, far in the future, all that crap. I think that if in a far future campaign, she's a kaiju. And, how I would twist this around is that when the party gets close enough, they realize that the entire tower starts to get up. And instead of being made of stone, maybe she's made of some kind of alloy, and she's like more of a robot, right? And the party goes inside. Instead of eventually finding the bride being restarted, they find the heart, and they have to deal with Dr. Lotrin and this heart while this thing is walking to the town to destroy it. That would be awesome. And that would be how you do this in the future Dying Earth, at least in my thoughts. So give this adventure a play. It's not just for Halloween, despite what the cover says. And I'll add a link to the adventure in the comments, or in the notes section on YouTube. So that's it. We got some more comments here. Imperialis says, "Oof, still a really fun ending. I really love the emergent storytelling that DCC seems to encourage, especially when you're willing to run with players' ideas. My group ended up making friends with the imp in Dragora's dungeon. He turned out to be a very fun judge's voice in the game." That's cool. I love that too. I love when adventures end in a way that I wasn't expecting as a GM. It's why DCC has been consistently my game of choice for I don't know. At this point, it's 4 years now, 5 years now almost. And this year, I just did my tally because I do keep a tally of how many adventures I've run and what I've run. And as of this year, let's see where I'm at. I have run 26 DCC games, which is light for me because I've ran a Demon Lord campaign and a Fantasy Age campaign, and that's 22 and 14 sessions respectively for each of those. So back to DCC though, and I hope to be on 40 of these 40 sessions by the time the year is wrapping up, which will still be less than 2 years ago. Last year was a bad year for gaming for me. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please share it with your friends. Please like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. And dust off all those unplayed DCC and MCC modules and get playing, okay? Have a great night. Stay safe, and I'll be seeing you on Sunday on the next Living for Crits with Judge Evie. Good night, everybody.